Thanks to E3, we saw a sneak peek at a lot of great games that'll be showing up in the coming months, or realistically, years. From Halo Infinite, to Forza Horizon, to Elden Ring coming back from the dead. There were a lot of big games to get excited about. However, for me, I was more intrigued by the games that didn't get the big headlines. You know, smaller titles that aren't part of a big franchise or have a multi-million-dollar budget to work with. If you're looking for somebody to gush over Guardians of the Galaxy, or Battlefield 2042, or the rest of the AAA titles announced this year, well, then you're probably gonna need to go somewhere else. Because today we're gonna celebrate 13 of the most intriguing games found at E3 2021. Intrigued? Yeah, I thought so. If you watched our look at the 10 things that we learned from all those E3 press conferences, then you already know that Replaced is at the very top of my must-play list. This is, without a doubt, the best looking and most intriguing game to come out of this year's E3. And boy, I can't wait to see what it ends up being. Is it a flashback-inspired rotoscope adventure? A beat-em-up? A science fiction epic? A thought-provoking story about being replaced? I don't know, maybe all of the above? No matter what it is, I can't wait for it to come to PC and Xbox consoles in 2022. If you know anything about me, you probably know that I'm a huge fan of classic Japanese samurai movies. Especially the old black and white films by the master himself, Akira Kurosawa. So yes, you better believe that Trek to Yomi intrigues me. I absolutely love the look and style of this upcoming side-scroller, and it definitely looks like it gets the action and atmosphere right. The only thing I don't like about this game is that it won't be ready until 2022! I want to play Trek to Yomi right now! You can call it a hitchhiking simulator all you want, but Road 96 looks phenomenal. It's a game where a young kid runs away from home and hitchhikes across the country. I mean, that's already an intriguing concept, but I'm excited to see how different each of those playthroughs will be. The game promises procedurally generated adventures that'll change based on the choices you make and the conversation the kid has. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm excited to see how dark this game goes when it comes out on Switch and PC later this year. A musical story is one of those games that I've had on my radar for a while now, and it just keeps looking cooler every single time I see it. It's a completely dialogue-free adventure set during the 1970s about a touring band and the lead singer's struggles with memory and addiction. It has an eye-popping visual style that is all its own, and features music inspired by Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, and other classic rock gods. Every part of this game looks awesome, and I can't wait to get hooked to a musical story when it comes out later this summer on PC, Switch, and Xbox One. Terra is basically the opposite of SimCity. It's a game where, instead of trying to build bigger and bigger skyscrapers, we choose to bring nature back to the wasteland. This looks like one of those deceptively simple puzzle games that turns out to be incredibly deep and rewarding, and I really like the look and approach. If anything else, I'm intrigued by the new spin on a genre that I already love. There's a demo out there that'll let you whet your appetite until the game comes to PC in the near future. For a brief moment in the 1990s, video game developers are trying to make stop-motion video games a thing. Yeah, it didn't stick. Fast forward a quarter century and it looks like Vokabulantis may fulfill the promise of games like Clay Fighter and Trog. Although the gameplay looks like it's gonna be a rotoscope adventure like Flashback, I gotta admit that I have fallen in love with the graphics. It's especially impressive when you consider just how much work goes into the process. Sure, I'm a little worried that it's going to be hard to control and maybe even style over substance. But when it comes down to it, there were few games at E3 more intriguing than Vokabulantis. Hell, I may just play it to figure out what the name means. At first glance, Loot River looks like just another overhead dungeon crawler with moody pixel graphics. But all it takes is a second look to realize that this is actually a bizarro mashup that allows us to move puzzle pieces around in order to fight hordes of monsters. That's a pretty cool idea, and my mind races at the prospect of layering more depth and mechanics to the action. I also love the gory visuals and the old school cinemas. Really looking forward to this coming to PC and Xbox consoles later this year. Who needs Grand Theft Auto 6 when Sable is just around the corner? Okay, maybe that's going too far, but I'm definitely intrigued by the look and scope of developer Shredworks' debut game. We'll explore a large, open world that comes to life using cel-shaded graphics. The trailer makes it look almost post-apocalyptic, where we're exploring ruins and driving around on a hover bike. Guys, every part of that appeals to me. Best of all, the release date is in September, so we won't even have to wait that long to uncover the mysteries of Sable. Speaking of debut releases, that's also true for Planet of Lana from Swedish developer Wishfully. This is an absolutely gorgeous adventure that looks like a combination of Limbo and War of the Worlds. What really sells the trailer is the boy and his dog approach, which suggests that we may be able to use both characters to solve puzzles and outsmart the alien invaders. If the trailer is any indication, then we're in for a real treat when Planet of Lana comes out in 2022. On the topic of games like Limbo, our next game is Somerville, from one of the developers of Limbo. That's right, Jumpship is Dino Patty's new studio, who is also one of the co-founders of Playdead. I gotta admit, Somerville looks similar in approach, combining puzzles, platforming, and adventuring into one intense experience. You control a family of 3 and their dog as they navigate their way through what looks like an alien invasion. Wait, hang on. Are we talking about Planet of Lana or Somerville? Guys, if you honestly think that a few slight similarities will keep me from experiencing both of these games in 2022, then you don't know me at all. Even before I saw the game in motion, I knew that I was gonna dig Lost in Random. This is the newest game from Zoink, the company that made the wonderfully zany game Stick It to the Man. This is their most ambitious game yet, and it looks absolutely stunning. I love the morose art style and the horrifying characters we meet along the way. It also has an imaginative story that makes the simple concept of rolling dice a truly terrifying act. Of all the games Electronic Arts is publishing, this is certainly the most intriguing. I really hope that it ends up living up to the rest of Zoink's catalog. Of all the games that we're going to talk about on this list, Phantom Abyss is probably the most straightforward. It's a first-person action game where we race through tombs, dungeons, and caves in order to collect the relics before anybody else. You'll have to survive procedurally generated courses that'll test your mettle with challenging obstacles and boss fights. It reminds me a lot of Mirror's Edge mixed with Indiana Jones, which is definitely an intriguing prospect. Yeah, I could see how this one might end up being more frustrating than fun. But boy, that trailer really did sell me on Phantom Abyss. I've mentioned it before and I'll mention it again, Metal Slug Tactics looks fantastic. For as much as I love run and gun shooters, this is one of those franchises that might actually be better as a strategy role-playing game. It has a wild cast of characters, cartoony villains, lots of vehicles, deadly firepower, and even aliens. Best of all, the pixel graphics really snap in this style of game. This is one of those concepts that clicked the moment I heard it, and I can't wait to play it. Here's hoping that this is just the start of a trend of genre-swapping Neo Geo resurrections. I'm gonna tell ya, I'd pay good money for a Waku Waku 7 role-playing game. That's not even a joke. Hey, thanks for watching me talk about the most intriguing games of E3 2021. If you liked what you saw here, then be on the lookout because it's only a matter of time before we actually start reviewing some of these games. Now, here's the question I have for you. What was the most intriguing game of E3? Look, it doesn't have to be one of these games I just listed, so be honest. I'm not gonna judge you if you're basic and say Halo. Okay, I might judge you a little bit, but hey, I can respect that opinion. Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back tomorrow with one of the Sega Master System's very best endings. What could it be? We're also going to follow that up with a whole bunch of reviews. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,